All right, we are now live. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Planning and Development Committee. I'm going to do a roll call. Chair, Council Vice President DeVita Russell is here. Council Vice Chair, Council Vice Chair, Member Cobb.
Aye, here.
And President of Council,
And
Member Kuda.
I'm here.
Yeah, the titles is all like President, Vice President, all that stuff. So can we relax those while we're here?
Yes.
Okay, we're gonna relax our titles. So DeVita, Tony,
Craig.
and Craig, okay? Because we want to have a nice homely discussion. So I'm going to move forward to give a brief description of why we're here. So there was nothing referred to the committee. So we have no resolutions for this meeting. So let me say the purpose of this meeting. So the purpose of this meeting is, this is only for the Noble Road area at this point. We're gonna do another one on the 4th of November. February, thank you, February for the Taylor area. And why we're separating you out, because both districts, business districts, are different. And we want you all to be able to weigh in on your own district and tell us what you need and what you're looking for. So we have been discussing, I think this is probably the third time that I've met with the businesses on Noble Road. Once we talked about a business association, it was a long time ago, and I don't know if you remember Myra. Myra actually met with quite a few of the business owners. Good morning, come in. Met with quite a few of the business owners at the Severance at the movie theater, which is now closed. And we talked about an association for the business district there. And she gave a synopsis on the business districts versus SIDS. And then I met again with the business districts at Urban City Codes, and I brought in the Urban League and a lot of different resources for the business districts to be able to either apply for or find out about or move forward to make their businesses grow. So now this is our third meeting that we're having, and I want to do this synopsis again around a business association for the Noble Road, and to tell you why it's important that you do something. It doesn't necessarily have to be a business association, it may not have to be a SID, but you need to know what the difference are, and you need to know what the advantages are to that. And so we have here Myra, who's going to give you a slight presentation on what a business association is, what it does, and how it can help you in Noble area. And also she's gonna give you a comparison of what a SID is and how it operates. So Coventry, Lee Road, and Cedar Fairmount all have SIDs. So they operate as one unit. They communicate with the city as one unit. They have meetings with the city once a month as one unit. So the city gets the opportunity to hear their grievances, their claps of good things they're doing for the city, ideals that the business district wants, and all those different areas. Taylor and Noble have no access to that. And for your business district to grow and to be able to be heard, you need to have a vessel to be able to communicate, but you need to be able to do it in a group, because one voice versus many voices makes a huge difference. So before I move forward and introduce Myra, let's do an introduction around the table. And you're live, so feel free to, plug your business, let people know what you do. Give us a couple minutes, just a minute on you and your business, so people know that you are alive and well on Noble Road and you're here for a reason. So let's I guess we did introductions here. Myra, you wanna start?
Sure, I'm Myra Orenstein. I have an advertising agency in Cleveland Heights. I have represented Coventry and Cedar Fairmount. right now, my main thrust is that I work with two independent restaurant organizations, Cleveland Independence, which is now 20 years old. I've been with them for 18 years, and Columbus Independence, which solicited me about a year ago, and so I've been working with them with the same model. The goal with all of these organizations has been just to get exposure for the people that are involved. So I'll talk about that afterwards.
Okay. Mr. Pittman?
Good morning, everyone. Breon Pittman, caseworker field rep for Congresswoman Shontel Brown. I was a previous business owner, but this meeting will be very informative for me.
Great. And if we could speak up a little because of we're on air and we want to make sure all of our residents and people who may be watching can hear what we're saying.
My name is Jose Quiles. I own and run Thunderbolt Auto Care in Cleveland Heights off Noble Road. We've been in business for 6 years. We've been at that location for a little bit over 3 years. We took over, it was Hollis Automotive prior to me. And I want to say he was there for like 25 or 30 years. So that shop has had that location for a while. And it's big shoes, but it's a lot of fun.
Okay, great.
My name is Milka Vincent. I relocated from Columbus, Ohio. I started my business in 2013 in Delaware County, and I relocated to Cleveland in 2017, and I own Lullaby Infant Club.
Okay.
Newly elected County Councilman Michael Hauser. I'm happy to be here today. I'm looking forward to an open discussion. I'm super supportive of all small businesses in the district, so I look forward to working with you all.
Hi, Cynthia Mason. I'm council staff, so I'm here with Councilman Hauser, and I'm here to assist him with putting forth his agenda that he would like to see for his residents. So two of my areas of, shall I say, subject matter are economic development and community development. So glad to be here.
Hello, everyone. I am Shoshana Duckworth. I am the Regional Director of the Minority Business Assistance Center at Urban League of Greater Cleveland, which is a state-ran program up under the Ohio Department of Development. I cover 8 counties, one of them being Cuyahoga County. And what we do is we assist minority businesses. Minority businesses are women as well, with scaling, growing, accessing capital, and of course, state-level certification. So minority business enterprise certification, women business enterprise certification, and then also assisting with bonding, contract procurement opportunities, and then capital that we have through the state, and then also that we have through our UBS Venture Capital Program at UBS, which quite sure Lisa will talk about.
Hi, I'm Lisa Bray. Thank you, Davida, for the promotion at the Urban League. That's not my title. I'll make sure I submit this to my phone. My name is Lisa Bray. I am our Director of Loan Portfolio Management and Programs. And we are housed within the Entrepreneurship Center at the Urban League of Greater Cleveland. So Shoshana and myself are colleagues, as well as Joe Madison, who is our director of our Small Business Development Center. So it's our Small Business Development Center, our Minority Business Assistance Center, and then UBIZ Venture Capital, which is essentially like our lending arm of the Urban League of Greater Cleveland, but we are a separate entity. And within UBIZ, in collaboration with the Urban League, I focus on working capital and funding to underserved businesses in our community. And then right now I facilitate all of our Black Women in Retail programs, our Restaurant Accelerator program, our Becoming Bankable program, our Construction Accelerator program, all under the guise of Sherwin-Williams, Bedrock, Haslam Group with the Cleveland Browns, Huntington Bank, and I'm forgetting PepsiCo and National Urban League. So, yeah.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Vaughn Johnson. I'm the Deputy Director for Economic Development with Cuyahoga County. I'm also the lead for the county's new Office of Small Business. I love small businesses. No one loves small businesses more than I do. I'm also part of Tiger Nation and a very proud graduate of Cleveland Heights High School. I don't live in Cleveland Heights now, but I used to. And I'm looking forward to sharing a little bit more information with you later. And my title is not exactly that, but I'll take that too.
I love that. I've given everyone a promotion.
Yes,
That's great. So why don't you, Julie, and we're gonna scoot down and make room for you to come to the table. You too. Come to the table. Pull a chair. Come to the table.
Maybe two people.
Yeah, we can put some on that side.
We are all friends.
Yes, we are all friends. All friends.
Pretty tight to me.
That's okay. Come on, get on tight to me. There you go.
Live on TV, it's gonna be that tight.
There you go, not to shy
I don't wanna forget.
No, you won't.
Yeah,
Talk about like,
Okay.
oh man, I
It's
didn't
all
talk to you.
okay. So who did we miss? Yes.
Okay. Well, my name is Daniette Caldwell, and I am the owner of Mommy's Bakery along with Mama Q's Kitchen. We just opened over there on 2204 Noble Road. You can find us on Google. You can Google us. Find us everywhere. It's been a long road. I'm glad to be here, and it's just an exciting time for us. The bakery's been open almost 2 years. Started at home license, and then we have the storefront now along with the restaurant.
Well, welcome to Noble Road.
I have a question. Did you bring some samples?
I did not. I came from work. I came from work and shoveling the snow from in front of the restaurant before I got here.
I get it.
Okay.
All right, my name is Antoinette. I own Salon Productions on Noble 2577. I actually been there. I've owned the salon for 13 years this year, but I've actually been there for 20 some years, 20 years. I actually bought an existing business that was there. I was a shampoo girl there, so I bought it in my 20s. I'm 38 now, so we've been there that long. So that business had been there. I think she had it maybe when I got it, maybe 20 years, I don't know. But I've been working with them for 20 years, and then I bought the business from her 13 years. It'll be 13 years ago in April. So that's it. It's a salon. So.
Hey neighbor.
I know. I was like, I love this.
I will find a place.
I'm so excited about this.
Great. I am great.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Salter Kawi. I'm the owner of Premier Auto Service, 2233 Noble Road. I've been there like around 10 years now. I take the business from my friend, being like 35 years, same business. And we're looking forward to improve our business with you guys. And going forward. That's my neighbor also.
How you doing?
Hi.
My name is Nader Showman. I'm the manager at Noble Food Deal. My dad's the owner. Yeah. Yep. He's not feeling too well, so I stepped in.
So I
for him.
forgive him.
Yeah. Hopefully I'll be taking over, so I'll be doing most of the work there. But yeah, we've been there for like 30 years now. We know the community, half the community by first name. We know everybody.
Yes.
Yeah, we've been there for a long time. We're looking forward to staying there. We are looking to improve the outside of the business, even maybe build a new building, just depending on the city, what they say. We were thinking about even building a gas station just to help out. It's all, with the city and everything. But yeah, we've been there for a long time. We love the community. We're not leaving, so we're here. Yeah. It's a good city.
All right.
No, I'm hiding. I'm still hiding back here. I don't like feeling two small spaces. My name is Jackie Rimmer. I am a co-owner of The Exclusive Touch with my husband Leonard. We actually live and work here in Cleveland Heights. Our store is on Noble Road, right next to 2579 Noble. I actually live right 5 houses down from the old CVS right there on Monticello, so I'm really in this Noble district. We have an embroidery and screen print shop. So we do embroidery, screen printing, promotional products, laser engraving, rhinestones, heat press. Our main business is the collegiate fraternity and sorority market, but we do stuff for businesses, schools, teams, the city of Cleveland Heights. We've done stuff for family reunion shirts, just about anything we can figure out how to do, or if not, we'll figure it out. We have been there now because we were across the street in one of Mr. Sharp's old buildings. So let's see, my daughter just turned 10, she was 1. So I think we've been there for 7 or 8 years. I really don't know, it all runs together. But we don't plan on leaving because we like the fact that we can wake up in the morning and walk. And walk to work. So we're not going anywhere.
Great. And did I miss anyone other then Julie, and then we'll introduce staff.
I'm Julie Kaufman, I am staff. I work in economic development.
Oh, you know what, I'm sticking up
Thank you, Julie Mostow.
Yes, that's, okay, I'm sorry. Okay, all right.
I knew,
It's the
I
title.
forgot.
Okay, all right, very good. So I'll start with our director. Mr. Zamp, why don't you maybe take it over for your staff?
Sure, Eric Zamp, Director of Planning, Neighborhoods and Development for the city. I've been here coming up on 4 years now. We've got a great staff. We're hopefully part of this conversation, we're going forward, talk about some of the new programs that we're gonna be having through ARPA and other things. And just a personal note, although my parents started out as teachers, they became small business owners. So I've seen that transition in their lives and their struggles to make it work, but thankfully it's been good for about 2 decades now.
Brian Arroyo, Assistant Director for Community Development.
Still Julie. Julie Kaufman, Economic Development Specialist. I know, I like to hear intros twice, so now you won't forget. And on a personal note, and I don't talk about it very much because I never like to, I don't wanna be like self-promoting, but I do have my own small business, and so I have a special, I know, you're like, you never told me. Thank goodness. So I do have a special love and connection to working with small business owners.
Brian Anderson, Assistant Director for Economic Development. And it's great to see some familiar faces here, you know, at the table, as well as some new folks. And you know, it's great to see some of you. We've been interacting with you since you got started in Cleveland Heights, and you know,
I feel called out.
No, you're not the only one. You're not the only one. But it's great to you know, see you all go through your journeys here as small business people, and you know, hopefully we can find ways to continue to support you guys as well as new businesses come to the corridor as well.
Thank you so very much, everyone, for your introduction. So let's start off with Myra.
Okay.
Let's talk about and explain to the businesses here the ins and outs, do's and don'ts, advantages and disadvantages of an association, having an association, and then the difference between an association and a SID.
Okay. So, most of you know, I'm sure you've been through this, you kind of live in a silo because you go to work, you go home, you go back to work, you go back to home, and you don't talk to anybody in your neighborhood unless you have 2 minutes to talk, which usually you don't. So the starting purpose of creating either of these two things is because you want to create a community and you don't want to be isolated. So if you create a business association, think of it in terms of if you were in a mall, okay, and there's all these people in the mall that are working and they decide they're gonna give a certain amount of money and contribute it to marketing or whatever, you know, like are they gonna contribute it to storefronts, whatever they're gonna contribute it to. So they say, okay, let's elect a president, let's elect officers, let's get this going, and let's start an organization. So they start the organization and they say everybody in the organization has to pay $100. Great, everybody's excited. 3 months goes by, 50% pay the $100. The other 50% just say, hey, it's nice to do this. Some people leave, some people stay. A year goes by, 25% is still missing from the dues. You're wondering why you're not doing anything, and you had great intentions to start with, all right? Terrific, you thought you had a model, it's a little disappointing, you go into year 2 and you see the same pattern happening. You have new people coming in, some are paying, some are not, you can't do anything. You can't go after your neighbor and say, I want your money, because you risk a relationship with that person, right? So that's the Merchants Association. The Merchants Association is a great kind of concept if you want to do marketing and you think that you can control that money coming in and out, and you think that you have enough of a format within your community so that you can make that cohesive work group stay cohesive. Great, you've done it. It doesn't cost you extra, everything's fine, okay? The reason that Coventry, and I can speak for Coventry because I started with them as a SID, because Coventry started their SID, And we're talking about a quarter-mile district. So I go into Coventry, and I live down the street from Coventry. My kids are part of Tiger Nation, by the way. Went all through high schools. All right, so I go into Coventry, and I initially approached Coventry because I have an advertising agency. I had a lot of background in different merchant things, and I said, I'm just gonna work for you free because things aren't going okay here. So of course they hear free and they're like, great, you're in, okay, fine. So eventually it gets to a point that they have this SID, they need somebody to help with marketing. I become their executive director. The reason I found out that Coventry started the SID was because of what I just explained. When you have a SID, then there are legal things that have to be done so that people have to pay into the SID. The problem, the difficulty for the merchant end is that this is dependent on the property owners saying that 60% of the frontage of their business thinks that this is important. Now, that's issue one. So when you start a SID, you have to go around to all the property owners and say, we think that this is gonna drive traffic to our street. We think that'll help your rental property. We think that this is gonna make this place way better than it ever was. So sign here, get on board with us, and let's do this. What ends up happening is there is the result of this, after you go through the technicalities of what you have to do for government, is that you have to have, it goes through your property tax. So they sign this, and then you end up with this bill on your, when you pay rent, and you suddenly have a triple net lease. So the triple net lease, 1/3 of that triple is you are now paying into the SID. You can't get around this because it's on your property tax. So money's there. You have a budget. You have a solid system, you have a budget, you have the buy-in from the building owners that they're going to work with you. Now, what ends up happening is the meetings that Davida has discussed are with the building owners. So I became executive after I left Coventry. And when I left Coventry, the last thing I did was the street fair. We had 27,000 people on the street on a Thursday night. So I felt like, I'm done. That's it. I'm gone. So I leave Coventry, and then they call me from Cedar Fairmount and they said, hey, we know what you did on Coventry. Let's do this with Cedar Fairmount. But you're looking at a different dynamic because Coventry is a quarter-mile. Euclid Heights, Mayfield Road, closed off. Great, do a promotion, everything's contained. Move to Cedar Fairmount, Cedar Road, federal highway. No way to close this off. So they said, do what you did on Coventry. Can't do what I did on Coventry. Different dynamic. You've got a different dynamic too, you know? So you have these meetings, your business owners come in. The business owners sit there and they say, well, okay, so what's happening? The merchants aren't showing up for this meeting. So unless there's like an extra push to say, we need to be in this SID meeting with you, the business owners are removed from you, the same as they are now. They don't have a clue. Okay, so you have to stand up or talk to your executive director and say, we need marketing to do this. We need marketing to drive traffic. We want to have a promotion in the summer. We want to have a holiday promotion. Whatever you want to do, your executive director is your point person. To Davida's point, having one point person means you now have one voice here. You have one voice in City Hall. So I need something, I call Eric. Eric can't answer me. He tells me who I need to talk to. You are not on your own. That's the whole point. The silo is gone. You now have a community. You have a point person you can call. You can say to that point person, look, we have potholes on every part of our district. We need help right now. It's stopping people from coming here. Or what are we gonna do to do a holiday walk? Do I need any kind of paperwork from you to make this okay? Can I serve alcohol in my district? Who do I talk to about this? Your executive director is tasked with that job. You don't have to do it anymore. You don't have to worry about any of that. So the SID, ultimately, if you can make it work, is the best way for you to contain your money, is the best way for you to have a point person talking here to get you some clout, and also is the best way for you to feel like you do have that community, you can make it work, and in these quarterly meetings, you have a voice with your building owners. The last thing that happened when I was leaving Cedar Fairmount, and Brian will attest to this, we probably had 5 or 6 meetings about the garage in Cedar Fairmount. And every meeting, I was saying, okay, what are we doing with the garage? And so Brian had to stand up in every meeting and say, yes, we talked to the engineers, yes, I'll get you something back. But the bottom line is, I've got a room full of people that are building owners who have plowed in that district. And I have the merchants behind me, and suddenly everybody's talking the same thing. The language is identical, and the identical language is going to City Hall, which means that one point person now can speak for you instead of you fighting on your own. And the battle on your own is so tough, as all of you know. You don't have time for this battle. You don't have time to talk to people about things that are wrong with your district or that you need help with every single day. You just don't. It's too much extra work for you. So whichever way you go, whether you think you can make a merchants association work and you think that you have enough control so you can get those dues in, or whether you think the other way, which is a very structured way, can work better, I think you need one or the other. I have a leave behind that I'll give to all of you that kind of distinguishes the two. And if you have questions, Davida knows how to reach me. I am in Cleveland Heights, happy to meet with any of you. So I hope that I made this clear.
Any questions for her?
So, I mean, not to use language that is in line with business language, but is this similar then to like almost like an HOA where you're paying dues, but then there's this overarching representation of that community?
Yeah.
That's kind of what it sounds like,
It
a
is.
business HOA is
It
really
is, it is.
functionally what it is.
Yeah.
And then once you set that structure up, it's kind of set in stone until it isn't.
No, because it depends on what your bylaws are. You either have to renew SIDS every 3 years or every 5.
Okay.
And so it's up to you when you initially go into it, whether you're gonna sign for 3 or 5. So part of that is how secure do you feel about having a SID? If you don't feel that secure, go for the 3, and say, okay, we're gonna reevaluate in 3.
Gotcha.
If you think this is gonna happen, I don't wanna be bothered with this again, it's a pain in the butt to go to these business owners and get the 60% frontage, go with the 5.
Gotcha, okay. Thank you. That offers actually a lot of clarification.
Okay. Yeah.
So to develop the SIDS, where do you start? Do you select a group of people and you assign them titles and then you develop the, how does it?
So I think that because it would be a grassroots situation.
Yeah.
Going to the individual business owner, the building owners, because you're a renter,
Right.
saying, as a renter, I want you to do this, can you look at this? And then you say to the building owners, can you have a meeting together, we can bring a person in to talk about this, how would you develop it from there? But having the clout of being a renter, I think really helps.
Makes sense.
Has this ever been attempted in?
No.
Not in Noble, I don't think.
Wait,
So yeah, since I've interacted with all the SIDS and Myra and over the years, I think a couple of things to think about is when we're talking about SIDS, when the SID is formulated, it has to be a contiguous district. So I think on Noble, I think it would be not impossible, but a challenge to do a whole Noble Road SID unless you were able to get some significant buy-in from all those intervening apartment buildings along the way, which maybe
That
would take, yes.
I mean, I just did the apartment building thing with Cedar Fairmount. It's
But
not
you were
easy.
just trying to add on apartments to an existing SID, so the math was easier.
Yeah.
For you guys. So I guess
But I also think, if you look at the Lee Road model and you're looking at how much property is taken up by commercial business on Lee Road, it's much more than, there aren't that many spaces between, to Brian's point, there aren't that many spaces with apartment buildings in between Lee Road where they had to go after it. So they had a consistent look from Kane Park area all the way up to near the library, which meant that there were a lot of commercial businesses that were saying, yeah, we wanna promote Lee Road. If you have that break in between, it might be better for you to isolate just the major commercial district on Noble so that you can start off with that and then build from there, which is what I had done on Cedar Fairmount and by encompassing the apartment buildings.
that was gonna be my next question. Can you create a SID and leave out the apartment buildings? And
No, it has to be contiguous frontage.
Okay.
Yeah, it's contiguous frontage, 60% contiguous frontage.
So you all had a SID and you didn't have the apartment buildings, or you
Right.
had apartment buildings and you brought more?
No, we had none. So we isolated, the boundaries of the Cedar Fairmount SID were from Nighttown to Buffalo Wild Wings and to Luna.
So you were trying to grow it and to
Yeah,
grow it.
so I expanded it by including the apartment buildings afterwards, primarily because the city needed more income. And we felt that the frontage, adding that frontage would mean more money.
And then it kind of becomes a math equation
Oh, yeah.
as far as how much frontage is in the district you're proposing and how can you get to 60%? Cause you can bring in people who don't wanna be in if you hit your 60%. You just have to know where your math is, and that's something that we, are oftentimes involved.
Yeah, and that, I've kind of discussed that in the handout, but for example, in this Cedar Fairmount situation, Chase didn't answer. They just didn't sign anything, they didn't answer. They're grandfathered in once you have that 60%. So once you hit that magic number, it's like, too bad about you, you're doing this, then you're in. So Chase was in.
And it hits their property taxes and their.
Oh, yeah.
Brian, Noble Road, could there, and maybe you answered this, I'm just maybe phrasing it a different way. Could it be broken where you said the frontage, say across from, is that your?
Well, I think
Your
my shop is right
in
across the street.
your block?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're next to each other.
Right, so could her block be a SID? And then skip from there, separate, and then skip from there and move down to the
So
other
it'd be like
business block?
us to Mayfield.
Yeah, I
That's
think,
three or
so I
four
think
blocks
if you're not
right there.
doing one contiguous because of those
Right.
challenges
Mhm.
discussed, I mean, I think you could look at doing it with the 3 nodes, you could
Yeah.
do it along Noble Road.
Right, cause that would make more sense, because then each block would have a SID, and then you could all, basically.
You can all cooperate,
And then, so I guess
collaborate together.
something to think about if that's the direction this eventually goes, if you do have 3 on paper SIDs, but then contract with one person to be the
Right.
director for
Right.
all three, so you still get
That
some,
makes sense.
you know.
That makes sense.
Yeah, and you can always collaborate amongst, like, we were doing cross promotions with Coventry and Cedar Fairmount and Cedar Lee, and all 3 executive directors were working together, so you can do things like that. So if you did split up the community, then, you certainly can have meetings together and do everything else.
Because it's almost split up itself.
It
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
It is
Yeah.
those districts, because you have those blocks, and then you have all of these apartments, and then you have another block of businesses. Now for where are you at? You're on, Grayton.
Great and Noble.
So Grayton, how would we look at that area?
It would be
Noble
Sal's
Deals.
That would be Sal's, yes, and Food Deal. That's on. Would the
What did you-
would the laundromat needs to be in that area, needs to be a part of that as well,
Yeah.
correct?
And then the store in the front for the new development as well.
There's a new apartment building.
Because there's that.
building.
Yeah.
It's
That's
like
great.
1 year.
Yes,
It's not as fun as fun.
yes.
And then I guess for that district especially, something to think about, I think it's possible, but we'd have to explore it, whether you can do a SID across city boundaries.
Across city boundaries?
That's because it's right there.
Because that Noble Nela district includes both East Cleveland and Cleveland Heights.
Oh, I was gonna stop at,
Which taxes do they pay? Both?
I was gonna stop at Cleveland Heights. I wasn't gonna go past that.
I think it's worth at least considering, because it's all one commercial
Cause you
district
got
and
that whole other section, and that's a bunch
With the bars.
right
I don't know if
there.
that would be a bunch
Yeah.
together. I don't know if it would
Yeah,
be.
across the street and then that next
Tax
block
wise.
down
because
to-
I know we had thought about Taylor Road in the past,
Yeah.
because Taylor Road is half University Heights, half Cleveland Heights. And so I
Here's
believe,
some,
we think it's possible to do, but we'd have to look at that closer if that's something we wanted to consider.
Okay, so I was thinking too, maybe look at the Cleveland Heights Inn, and then like you did, after you kind of get it formulated, then bring them on.
That could be a good strategy
You
as
could
well.
do that too.
Yeah.
Again,
And
it
then
would
it'll
be
be-
a possible reason to do a 3-year instead of a 5.
Yeah.
Is that both sides of the street, or both sides?
Mhm.
Okay. Yes.
I have a quick question. So let's say we walk out of this meeting with a relatively positive vibe.
Yeah.
From the initial conversation to, hey, this is a real thing, about what does that timeframe look like? And then secondly, traditionally speaking, because you said that every district's a little bit different.
Yeah.
Traditionally speaking, how many meetings or get-together have really kind of went from inception to creation?
Okay.
With like Cedar, with, Coventry, like how's that
So
work out?
I wasn't involved with the initial conversation, but I can tell you what happened with the recent re-up of Cedar Fairmount.
And maybe Alan can fill in.
Okay.
So with the recent re-up, what ended up happening was I had to make calls to everybody in our district to see who was in our
Okay, I look, I'm off on names today.
The one thing that you should know too is you can create your own boundaries. So if you're finding that like the last building on that section doesn't wanna go in, you can say, okay, we're only gonna do the sit-up to this building. So what Cedar Fairmount did, because Top of the Hill was involved, when you think about the frontage of Top of the Hill, it not only went on Cedar, but it went all the way around the block. They had just come to Cedar Fairmount. We couldn't go to them and say, hi, guess what? You owe us $150,000 this year because you're part of the sit or whatever the amount was. So we said, okay, we're gonna stop the sit at nighttime because whatever. And we said, okay, what we're expecting from you, if you wanna be a good community member, donate to the SID. So, and they did. So they had no voice in what was happening with the SID, but they did help support the SID. So you don't have to say everybody in this block, but the contiguous group has to be there, okay? So when you start the meetings, what I would say is, number one, first go to the building owners and see if there's buy-in. If the building owners say, no, you don't have anything to do, I mean, there's really nothing you can do. If the building owners say, sure, I wanna hear more, then I would call an initial meeting of the merchants and the building owners and say, this is what the plan is, this is what we'd like to do. And then whoever you appoint or whoever you feel is a strong person in the district, like
Sure.
Tommy was really a big deal in Coventry, for example, so he held a lot of things together. Brendan in Nighttown was like a big point person. So he would go around to those people and say, okay, look, I wanna do this, what do you think? And you need somebody that's got more clout in the district to go around to them and say, look it's crazy, but if we do this, we're gonna bring more money to you, so you've gotta buy in here.
Yeah.
But having somebody that can talk the talk with a building owner really helps a lot, because having you as a renter talk to a building owner, or, I mean, I don't know what your status is, but a renter talking to a building owner has less clout than a peer. So, like, that would be the primary meeting to get the building owners on board.
Sure.
Once you get the building owners on board, I would have a building owners meeting, so that would be the first thing, and explain to them what I just explained with the outline, providing them what the legislation is, what the involvement is, and hopefully having someone from the city in that meeting so that someone from the city can speak up and address what's happened in other districts.
Sure.
Give them a history and also explain to them why it makes sense. From there, I would involve everybody from the district and have an open meeting to discuss it and do pretty much what was done with the Top of the Hill meetings. I would have open mic, let people talk about what they think they wanna do, hear everybody out, make it transparent, because otherwise if you don't, someone's gonna be really pissed off and they're gonna come into the meeting, they're gonna destroy every meeting that you have, and it's not gonna be a happy time. You want this to be a real community and everybody to be happy. So after you have this open meeting, then I would say, okay, we're gonna break this down. Who do we think should be the point people that are gonna start doing this? And then you need to bring somebody in for an executive director position, just to say, like, can you work with us until X point? And then we'll start paying you once this goes through, if they're willing to do that. And start moving towards getting the legislation done. There would have to be, at some point, an attorney hired. So some front money has to come in from the businesses to say, we're gonna hire an attorney to get the paperwork done. The county requires that you have the paperwork in by like September 7th or somewhere around then. Before then, you have to get it passed by the city. So you have to have multiple passes by the city to look at what the boundaries are, whether the city approves of it and all of that legislation. And once the city approves of it, then they can send it to the county. The purpose of the county having it, it has to go into the property tax.
Gotcha.
So their deadline
So it's
for
a
the
process.
following year.
Yeah.
So if you're looking at 2026, starting now means that it would go into the property tax in 2026. Your deadline would be September 2025.
Okay. I think that better articulate. We're in the process of hopefully purchasing the building. So that's why I ask, is specific to us.
President Could.
Could you talk about how SIDs have boards and who would participate? I mean, could merchants be part of a SID board?
Yeah, merchants can be part of a SID board, but the base of the SID board has to be the building owners. So you can involve merchants as part of your SID.
But when it comes to making decisions,
The building owners are the decision. They're the decision makers on the board.
I see, Brian.
I was gonna say, in some of the SIDs, building owners will appoint their tenants as their proxies. So then they can serve on the board, they have the full voting rights at the board level at that point. So it is possible for merchants to serve on the board and have voting rights in those situations.
I just want to take one little break. We had a couple people come in and I'd like for them to introduce themselves as well. So let's start, go ahead.
That's Julie.
Yeah.
Julie Mostov, I took over Myra's position at the Cedar Fairmont SID, so thank you for having me. I'm also the executive director of the Heights Chamber of Commerce. So that is the 6 municipalities of Cleveland Heights, Shaker Heights, University Heights, Richmond Heights, South Euclid, and Lyndhurst. So happy to be here.
Thank you, Julie. Okay, thank you.
Marcus Carter, I'm the owner of Excel Barbershop in the Noble District.
I'm Fallon Robinson. I'm a community planner for the city of Cleveland Heights.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Terry Shirney, owner of the Cornerstone Lounge and Grill.
All right, so I have a question. How does say if we break it up in blocks. What if you have one block where one person owns the whole block?
Okay, Eric,
That's-
what?
I mean, that's fine, it's just purely a square footage calculation. So actually, it's easier in districts to have one or two large frontage property owners. Based on not the number of
Yeah, so you require
properties, the
one.
frontage of the property.
That would be lovely.
So that means that one owner would pay.
Yeah, and you can, this is all part of like the down the road conversation, so like you wanna do a SID, you think you have the momentum and you know the people that are willing to support it, you have to come up with sort of a plan saying what you're gonna do, you're setting a budget, which leads to what the individual assessments would be on each property. The cleanest way to do it then, the assessment is just prorated based on the value of all the properties in the district. Although there's other ways to do it. So, but in the circumstance you're describing, if there's one large property owner, they can sign in a big chunk, but then keep in mind, they're probably the ones who are paying the largest chunk as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
And things.
Yeah.
So I'm newer in this role. Myra set me up well for an already established SID, so I wasn't there for that part of getting it together. But just to tell you a little bit about the functioning of it as we're now an established SID in Cedar Fairmont. One, we have representation at our meetings and board by a couple of the council people like Brian and Julie with the city too. So that's a nice aspect that they're attending our meetings as well. We have them every other month, so you can figure out what that schedule works best, but that seems to be a pretty good pace that we have them every other month. So again, if we want to ask a direct question about the garage, for instance, Brian's usually there to answer, or Julie, or both. Things of that nature. And then some of the things we do in addition to marketing and promotions are snow removal, planters with flowers, things like that. So you can decide how you want your money to be spent, but that's a nice thing where this point person who is your director has contracted for all those kind of amenities. So I think that's a good selling point to business owners too, where you can say part of it's beautification, part of it's marketing, promotions, getting merchants, but that beautification part I think is huge, where we have one communal point person where we've hired people to do the sidewalks, remove the snow, and put planters in, whatever you want that to look like.
To Julie's point too, the Merchants Association is not a nonprofit. The SID is a nonprofit, so you can go after grants. So like Cuyahoga Arts and Culture has helped pay for some of the summer programs with all of the districts. It means that the executive director has to file for those, but you're a 501c3, so you have opportunities.
And really quickly.
Yes.
If there were 2 SIDs or 3 SIDs, I would suggest one executive director. I mean, you don't need one, one for each SID. I mean, I know that's a little down the road, but Julie, I wanna say, do you do 20 hours a week? A month, I'm sorry.
Somewhere thereabout.
Yeah.
I have multiple, it's hard, I don't exactly calculate it, but the jobs I have, I'm doing this as I'm a nonprofit fundraiser event planner that has my own business, so I'm doing it as a freelancer. So I'm not exactly tracking hours. I have a flat fee, and so I do that with the Heights Chamber as my one year-round client, Cedar Fairmont District's my one year-round client, and then I do nonprofit fundraisers where it's just an annual event for a different client, so
Well, my point
I
is,
just say roughly, let's say.
yeah, but my point is that the three SIDS have part-time executive directors. Is that fair?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So a part-time consultant could very much be what this is. Like I said, I have my own business where I work full-time, but for the SID, yeah, 20 hours a week is probably, a month is probably pretty applicable. And then when you have big events, it might be a little bit more. We do the street festival we brought back last year, so again, that month was a little busier. But for the ongoing with, a board meeting every other month, doing the minutes, doing some of the admin stuff behind the scenes. It is nice that if you do the route of the SID, because it's from the property taxes, you're not going around collecting people's money. So as a nonprofit fundraiser, I'm just gonna say, I liked that aspect that it's already, because of its frontage, then it goes into their property taxes that they pay. The county cuts a check twice a year to the city of Cleveland Heights. So then twice a year, they give us a check to the SID. So you're not the money collector. You have to get the signatures and the buy-in at the beginning, but, again, just as a nonprofit fundraiser that's always asking for money, I was like, oh, I like this process of, kind of being automated there.
So I know this may be an extremely difficult question to answer. Whenever you're talking to, like, I think of my landlord and approaching my landlord, which again, hopefully I'll be the landlord here in a second, but whenever I'm thinking of something like that, my personal landlord lives in New York, hasn't been to the property in probably 30 years, yada, yada, yada. Asking somebody like that to pay more money and not see an immediate benefit is a difficult sell. So my question specifically is, how much money are we talking? And I know that's a difficult question because it's based off of
Well,
property tax or whatever the
to
case is,
Brian's
but what are we actually talking about?
establishing a budget means that then the property owners break it down according to percentage of property within the
Okay.
district. So you could say your budget's gonna be 25,000, or you could say your budget's gonna be 200,000. So it really, it's dependent on where you set that budget.
So you would have some sway in, or the members of the SID will have some sway in saying, hey, this is what we're planning this year.
Right.
Work backwards, okay, administrative and then events, and okay, we're at, 75,000 and then
Exactly.
it's broken up and then
Yeah.
it's submitted to
And
the
you
county
hold to
for-
that budget, basically.
And for
You would
those,
have the advantage of looking at what the SIDS that exist do, and they could show you what their budget is, and,
Yeah.
and then you guys get together and, we'd like to do this, but we really don't care about that, so,
So
I
one
think
thing I would
there's a model there.
suggest is the board chair of the Cedar Fairmont SID is Sal Russo, who's also a building owner. And I think having him present, he's been part of it for a long time, someone like that, or a couple of the business. We have some property owners that are local, and we have some property owners that aren't.
Yeah.
So we kind of have a combination of that, but I think if a business owner heard from another property owner that's the board chair and actively involved in the SID and why it's so beneficial, I think, again, sort of that peer-to-peer conversation,
Sure.
I'm sure he'd be happy to present, and if it had to be partly a virtual meeting, because some of the property owners aren't local, I'm sure we can get him to represent.
and I think for those of you who lease, I think it'll be important to just make sure you understand what your lease says. Whether it's triple net or gross. So under triple net, anything that gets assessed to the property tax is gonna flow back to you paying. So in those situations, if you're supportive of it, you can tell your property owner, hey, I'm okay with you signing the property in, but you know that that's gonna come back to your monthly rent. Now, as opposed to if it's gross, then it is coming out of your property owner's, pocket at that point, unless you restructure the lease. So for the businesses that lease, it'll be important to understand what your leases say as far as those nets and who pays what. That does impact what your conversation with your property owner looks like.
Okay, so just to make sure I'm understanding your question and their answer, I guess I interpreted it as that you were trying to figure out, like, for me, I'd wanna know a dollar amount, a percentage. Like, my property taxes are gonna be assessed, like when they do levies and they say, okay, your property tax is gonna go up this percent or this amount. How is that being distributed to them? Like, give me a number, how much of the property tax is gonna hit? Is it based on what we set a budget as? Like, we want $50,000, so then you figure out how much to assess each property owner?
That happens.
Because I think that's how I would want to present the number
Yes.
to, because three of us in here have the same landlord. So I know give him a number. He wanna know how much is this gonna hit him,
Yeah, so
not just it's gonna come out of the
during the
taxes.
process, based on that budget number that you establish, we run the calculation so everybody knows what each property is getting assessed.
Okay,
And then the tenants can figure out what that means for them as a pass-through potentially.
okay.
I have something to say. I just think that I'm a property owner with multiple units in it. And I just think that we need to make that clear that the rent is gonna go up for the tenants when you do this, because this can't just sit on the property owner.
Correct.
That needs to be distributed through the units, and everybody has to be on board with that. But if you're already seeing that rent is a problem for business owners, then I don't know, I'm not saying that it can't happen, but maybe we can come up with something else, because a lot of times, even taking rent up for not even a triple net lease, even coming with you wanna say double or just one time, that's a huge problem for business owners.
If I may
Yes.
skip ahead just a little. So I'm assuming that's why you might have some of the resources that you have in the room today as a marketing expert and then economic experts. It's essentially you work it into your projections in terms of how will this SIDS, whether you're focused on storefront renovations and what you're doing in your particular SIDS, how it's going to increase your revenue. So it would be smart to have people team with you, be it at the Urban League of Greater Cleveland or the different SBDCs or Cuyahoga County, to really look at your current business models. To then say, well, let's look at your current business model compared to what you're proposing in these SIDS, and then develop what those projections look like for your business to make sure it makes sense that you're gonna grow.
Something I was getting ready to say too is, I think that we have to keep in mind that a SID is there to support the businesses from different avenues. Whether, we mentioned marketing, we mentioned beautifying the area. So this could take away from some of that cost that the business already has. And in turn, if a business is having issues with paying rent, we need to dig deeper and see why. Maybe they're having an issue with the revenue production. So maybe the marketing will assist with bringing in additional clients. Maybe they're having an issue with marketing itself. So these are services that could actually assist those businesses with actually growing and scaling to a point where they don't have any issues with their rent.
Yes.
I feel like I'm asking a lot of questions.
No, this is why we're here, for a true discussion, so we can get it out on the table, so you can actually really think about what's being said and bring it to fruition.
I just like to talk. So my subsequent question to the initial question of, okay, let's talk numbers.
Yeah.
And this might be directed to Brian more than anything else. If you're chopping up Noble into 3 different sections, can each section have its own budget? Cause like her and I are neighbors. And so we would be lumped together along with McCarthy if he joins and some of the other guys. Do we have leverage that's gonna isolate our section if we're chopping up the Noble into 3 different chunks? Or is it looked at as Noble? Do we have leverage to say where that money goes?
Yeah, no, I would
Local to
think
us,
so,
if
and
that
some
makes
of that I
sense.
think is ultimately up to the individual nodes, how they wanna work together.
Sure.
I think there's certain things that you could probably take on together, like if you're contracting with one landscaping company,
Yeah.
beautification, snow removal, things like that, it's one shared contract across the districts. Marketing might be something you might wanna think about individually, because there are some different identities and they are a little bit different geographically, but so I think there's probably, again, this comes back to, the people involved and what they wanna do. There's probably some shared items as well as some individual set-asides for what each district wants to do.
But I guess my question was specific to budget and property taxes, that part of the conversation.
So on paper,
On paper,
they'll
is
exist as
Individual.
separate entities.
Okay.
So three separate.
And
Not that I'm trying to be selfish, cause hey, we're
This
all in
comes
it
back to
together.
when you're gonna need a lawyer involved, probably an MOU between those three
Right.
entities
Yeah.
that defines how they
Right.
interact with each other.
It's just nice to know, you know, what the logistics of that machine actually kind of look like.
Yeah. And I think ultimately, you know, you'd be in a position where I think you can kind of choose your own adventure, so to speak, and determine what that looks like.
Now you're catering to the dream, thank you.
Yes.
You know me too well.
I did fail to mention, because I was excited about my promotion that you gave me, that I am a resident of Cleveland Heights and I'm Noble. So part of the reason why we don't see a lot of traffic is because Noble is not pretty. From a residential and also a consumer and a business owner perspective. So there's a lot of benefits to changing the district. And it's been a part of the conversations for a long time.
And before you were saying that, all that was going through my head is we didn't talk about the fact that Coventry and Cedar Fairmount both did a streetscape based on the fact that they had a SID. And so to your point, I mean, that's another area that you can look at. It's not just about marketing.
Right.
President Kuz.
Yeah, so I have a question that I want you guys to hear the answer to, but it's to Director Zamp and Assistant Director Iorio. So we have hired, this is about ARPA funds. We have hired a consultant to look at Noble and Taylor to kind of determine how the Community Investment Fund could be best spent. Is that, so far I'm okay?
Yeah, we actually have
All right,
two separate things going on that.
Yeah.
Thankfully, so we have the small business assistance component, so we've contracted with UBIZ
Yes.
to do that, and we're hoping to kick off that effort, so they're gonna one portion. Help assist us in establishing that small business assistance program here in Cleveland Heights,
Donna.
and specifically for Noble and for Taylor. So that's one component, and then there's also a streetscape project that we're gonna be doing on Noble and Taylor as well, where we hired another consultant. So it's really fitting in to this conversation today, where, you know, interacting with individual property owners on both of these matters, we're gonna do that anyway, but having that one voice will make it all the more important.
And a market study, there's also
And
a
a
market
market
study.
So, you know, we passed the allocation of the money, council did 13 months ago. So it's not in the front of my mind right now, the details, but could some money from this community investment fund, which is for the business districts, be used as seed money to help them start such a.
If you heard us chattering, that's what we were talking about.
They were heard chatter and I was hoping it was about that. But it's possible, you're saying, we don't, okay.
I think so,
I think
especially
it's
with the
allocated.
revenue replacement portion of that fund.
Right, little more leeway in that. Revenue replacement simply means that we took ARPA money and we put it into the general fund, kind of, sort of, so that the deadlines and the
Free up.
parameters are a little wider open, perhaps for something like we're talking about now, we're not. I'm being careful here.
And just to add on, we have all been wanting you all to have some type of avenue like the other districts. As you know, most of you know, I've been talking to you all since I got on council and having meetings with you ongoing as far as something like this. And with the ARPA money, and I wanna give a shout out to Member Cobb. You know, he kept making sure that make sure you put money aside for them to be able to have a SID or association or something in the Noble and Taylor area. And so this is a perfect time to try to get you together for you to think about it, to find out what do you wanna do, find out if you wanna talk to your business owners. And I know quite a few business owners on Noble Road, and some business owners actually have businesses there within Noble Road. We also have an application that's coming up for businesses to apply for ARPA funds for your business. We have a young lady here who is actually contracted to do that application for you all, and I'll give her a minute to talk about it. She won't go into any details, but what I asked her to do, if she could, is just to give you a heads up of what you may need, because it's nothing like an application comes open today and it's due in 3 weeks, and you find out a week from now, and you don't have all the information you need in a pile to apply for it. Okay? That's almost like a funeral, you know what I'm saying? It's like, oh, somebody died, you was like, oh my God, where is the insurance policy, you know? What did they do with it? What did it do with it? So this is an opportunity, and I ask that she tells you that she can't tell you the whole application and all that, but things that you need to start putting in place, so once it goes live, you are already prepared to be able to apply for whatever you may need, okay? So, you wanna say something?
No,
Did you see Matt Moore?
I just wanted to mention,
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
yeah, about introducing Matt.
Oh, yes, I did see
See
him
him
coming,
come in.
yes. But I wanted to give you an opportunity because you've been helping us with trying to get an association and something there, and you have made sure, even with the efforts I've done as far as going and knocking on doors and all that kind of stuff, you have made sure that we don't push aside the ARPA money without giving this area an opportunity to do a SID or a business association.
Right, and I think the easiest lift for now is to get a merchants organization up and running with the city providing the funding for that merchants association. I don't know if anyone recalls that at one point there was a merchants association that was on Noble Road that was funded by the city by block grant money. I don't know how long it's been since that organization went out of existence, but it's something that's badly needed that will get all of the merchants together. That will essentially serve as a SID, because I think you're gonna have a heavy lift, as someone pointed out, with the landlords not wanting their rents to go up, and if they do, they're simply gonna pass it on to the tenants.
It's something to weigh.
Yeah, and that's why I really wanted to make sure we had this conversation. Give me 2 seconds, gentlemen. I wanna give acknowledgement to Matt. Stand up and introduce yourself.
Hey everybody, it's nice to see such a full room. This is exciting. I feel like if you meet again, we need a bigger space. Already shown
We
promise.
plan to do so.
Good. My name is Matt Moore, and I'm the executive director of Coventry Village's Special Improvement District, which is the second oldest in the state. We kind of jumped on right as soon as the state legislature was passed, and I think there were some attorneys from Coventry and Cleveland Heights that even helped consult for Columbus when that occurred. Happy to talk for how much do you want me to say? Just introduction like that?
Go ahead, you have a few minutes to.
Keep going? Okay, cool.
Yeah, you have the floor, and yep.
You just tell me when time is up, because
Just
I'm my target.
a couple minutes.
I just made a quick little one pager for you guys as you consider. Did you guys talk about the structure of SIDS at all this morning? County? Are you representing the county?
No, Myra.
Oh, okay. If you need anything more, there's some great clickable links here at the bottom of the page. The county, Cuyahoga County has a great handbook, or they call it guidebook, that I think it's 38 pages in length, so I didn't print them all out. But it goes in depth, some detail about how they can use here in Ohio. And they have also some example charter documents from across the county, from Ohio City to Cleveland Heights, the kind of stuff you would want to look at and be really faithful. But before you get into the nitty gritty, what is a special improvement district? I guess Myra shared a good bit about that. Is it right for Noble? Did you guys talk about how to distinguish that? So right there, there's some key indicators. One thing that I added there, so it could be wrong. The county has the dots in black. The one thing I often add is contiguous. So the parcels would have to be contiguous parcels. You can't like skip 10 businesses or properties and get into one extra one. Likewise, I think you get associations. Sometimes those are great stepping stones towards a SID. There's a process there. Some of the benefits I outlined there, there's 9 in red. I'm happy to take questions to talk more to, and more so, happy to be a resource for you all on Noble. I've been with Coventry for 12 months now, just started last January. So I'm new, but I'm happy to help.
well, thank you. So, anybody have any questions for Matt real quick before we move on to a different subject? No. And I want to, Mr. Dow, will you introduce yourself as well?
How you doing? My name is Ken Dow. Just a resident here in Cleveland, former director for Congresswoman Marsha Fudge, and helped Congresswoman Shontel Brown out a little bit. But I was with the councilwoman when she originally came up with this idea, so I'm glad to see she pulling it all together. So I was impressed when I walked in too, like, wow, yeah, a lot of people here today. So very good. I'm glad to see it moving forward.
I have a question.
Yes.
I have to go shortly. Unfortunately, I have some things that I just need to address.
I understand.
And it's a short day for me as it is. Leaving this meeting, I find with, leery to call this a political meeting, but it kind of is. I guess where I'm going with it is, what now? And to that extent, how does somebody who works way too much keep track of where progress is going forward with something like this? The last thing I want to do, I have interest in this, to be clear. I have interest in this. I think it's a good idea.
Okay.
And in whatever way I can, I plan on supporting this endeavor, hopefully as a property owner. I probably put 60, 70 hours a week in, and there's so many things that are on my agenda. Is there a vehicle to keep information flowing? A ongoing email discussion, a Facebook group, which would probably be a good idea, specific to this, where the conversation can be easy to hop in and out of, versus, all right, guys, we'll see you in 6 months, good luck.
No.
And so to that extent.
So, I guess you haven't dealt with me a lot, but a lot of have dealt
Just in
with me.
passing, just in passing.
And I don't do anything, I don't do anything without action. And
Stop by and see the shop sometime.
I have.
Again.
I don't go away without action. And I asked you all to do something, because I want you all to do something. If, I don't know who was in the last meeting for the Urban League, we had a meeting at Urban Codes.
Yeah.
I gave every business right then and there. I don't think you were there.
I wasn't, I didn't know it was even existed, I'm sorry.
We met we ain't gonna go far.
Yeah, we met at some of
Okay, let me
the
finish.
monthly meetings.
So we met and we talked about information that was needed. And everybody in the room was like, yes, we wanna do this.
Sure.
Yes, we are on board. Yes, we wanna do this. And my response was, I will help you in every way I can, but I am not going to pull the wagon for you. You have to pull the wagon for yourself, and I'm going to be there to help you pull it. And I gave action tasks at that meeting that did not come about.
Okay.
So I'm here again. That's why I went back to say this is my third time. So a lot of people in the city don't know I've been meeting with you all regularly. And so this is my third attempt. I need to know from you all, are you interested first? Then we need to know where we go from there, because I'm willing to continue to have these meetings with you here, maybe quarterly, to work out the details, to have our council here to work out the details with you and our staff, and to figure out a plan and a way to go with everyone here at the table to help you. But we can only help you if you're willing to you wanna be helped. And so I just wanna be honest, I wanna be transparent. I am here to help you in any way possible. Most people, when I walk up and down Noble Road and Taylor Road, just about every business owner know me because they walk in and I say, hey, Councilwoman, how you doing? I'm here for you, but I need you to come halfway with me. I need you to open the door and push through that door so I can help you. Member Cobb, President Kuda, we're here. Staff is here. We're talking about ARPA funds to help you start business association. We don't want Noble to fail. I've been talking about Noble since I've been on council, 2019. So I am committed. I am committed to Noble. I am committed to Taylor because I want it to look good, just like Coventry, just like Cedar Fairmount. Myra, I introduced her to you all in 2019?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, so this was an early introduction. That's one reason I asked her to come back because I knew you would know her face and you would understand what we're talking about. So I'm committed and you have just said you're committed.
Yeah, no,
So
I
I will set up another meeting for us to go through the preliminaries and figure out what we wanna do and how you wanna do it. But I wanna give you something to think about. I need your dedication. I need your support in it, and I need your participation. So those are the things I need from you. If you give those things, then you're gonna have 100% of my buy-in and 100% of my push to help you move forward with this.
And if I could add,
Yes.
we're here as a resource as well to businesses where we help you when it comes to how you operate and how you delegate and who you're delegating to. Anytime a business is working at 60 to 70 hours, that means someone needs to step in and also represent you. So,
It is amazing what you can accomplish if you give up sleep and a social life. I'm just throwing it out there.
it's amazing what you can accomplish. You can do something as simple as hiring a consultant that assists you. So,
Do they know how to do breaks?
no, not the labor, the administration.
So first of all, I wanna before everyone have to go, I want to give our guests the opportunity to let you know what type of grants or funding or monies that's out there that can help your business grow, as well as resources and maybe some, the Urban League, they'll take you to school almost. They'll take you from the bottom ground to from the foundation of your business to the roof and help you every step of the way. So I want to give each one of them an opportunity, as well as our county people, to give you an opportunity.
I'm gonna exit stage left. I thank you all
But you're
for your
in.
time.
You're
Yeah, no, here, you have my email address from before anyways, but here, we'll do this.
Okay.
If you shoot me an
So-
email a little later.
All right. So who else around the table is interested?
I'm interested, but I'm not the building owner, so I'm just thought in my mind that us three that's here, we need to speak to our building owner.
Well, if you remember with what Member Cobb said, maybe we should start with the Merchants Association first and use some ARPA money to help get you all started. So that will be a collaboration of the business, the merchants to be able to put something together. So we would have to go through those steps first, and then maybe we can move into the business owners. You know what I'm saying?
Tavita, can you connect everybody so that because I think the next step is, they need to form a consensus between them on what they wanna do.
No, I understand.
Well, I know you understand it, but I'm asking you, is there a way to do that?
Yes.
Okay.
So I just wanna know who's interested at this table or around the
I'm
room.
interested in an association. I just started this, so, starting a small business from the beginning, you're already, with funding and everything, so I definitely don't wanna look into my rent going up.
Okay.
With the association until we can get to a part where some help is, and just some guidance, even mentorship with building our business. Like you were saying, there were a few people here still to be able to assist with that. Would be where I would be interested definitely in the association and working with the community and the rest of the merchants with making things better for the community, for us and for everybody to build and grow. And then from there, we can be able to maybe map in the owners or the said.
This might just be parts of Noble that are more suited for the association versus it just based on the parts of Noble. And who the owners are. Somebody might be able to get their sit off the ground, whereas our section might not.
Right, correct. How do you think? What do you think? You're interested?
No, I'm interested in this,
Okay. What about, I know, and she always feel left out because you're on Lee Road and her business is not a part of a SID, correct?
But didn't you write that King? I thought it went down to King Park.
I'm definitely interested.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Vita?
I'm in the Noble area as well, but I'm interested in being a part of the association. But as far as my business concerned, I will probably need to be a part of a different SID.
Yes,
I'm on Lee Road across from King Park.
correct.
I don't know anything about it.
Okay,
From last week, nothing.
okay, we'll get together. Jackie, you're interested in association or something? Okay, what about you? No, I didn't bring my cards. I'll go grab it.
Well, hello, sir.
Are you interested? Okay, okay. All right, so at least we have a consensus, so that will call for another meeting. So that's what I wanted to actually hear, first of all, to see who was interested and who, you know, because this will give you an opportunity to go back and talk to other merchants in the Noble area who you work with, to be able to say, hey, this is what we want to do. We need to have a meeting ourselves to find out what we want to do and how we want to do it. Okay. I saw your hand up.
I'm good.
Oh, you good?
Yes. Moved on.
Okay, all right. So let's talk about ARPA.
So what I'll say is, because I wasn't gonna say anything, I was gonna wait, because I wasn't sure. So we're working with the city of Cleveland Heights and Soldana Dabbs and Michael Obi. I'm building the systems for them, so that way we can make sure everything goes smoothly. I'm just gonna say one word and one word only, and that's taxes. We're in tax season right now, and everything that we're talking about costs, whether it's ARPA or not, working capital, funding, grants. I think there's a misnomer sometimes that if you're going for a grant, you don't have to have your business in order. It's no different than a loan in many cases. So as businesses, what I just wanna encourage you to say right now is just make sure that your financials are in order. And in the event that you struggle, because many of us do, which is why so many of our programs exist, know the resources that exist. And one of my favorite resources is the Minority Business Assistance Center, because for the longest, we've been teaching financial literacy, but what we realize is people actually need an accountant. They need a bookkeeper. You shouldn't be doing that yourself. So Minority Business Assistance Center specifically has resources now with accountants that can help you and help get you started on the right track. You wanna cover a little bit of that?
So as she said, the Minority Business Assistance Center, we have a range of different programs and resources available. On our team, we have, bless you, on our team, we have certified business advisors or certified with Kent State University. They received the certification at the CBA. And we have accountants. We're working to consult with an attorney right now. We have a certification specialist that's there to assist businesses with gathering their documents and getting their certification submitted to the state of Ohio. And we make sure that we service the business from a holistic approach. So if a business come to us and let's just say they don't have financials, then we connect them with our CPA we also have a financial advisor that works up under me as well. We connect them with them so that they can assist them with putting together their cash flow statement, their income statement, their balance sheet, whatever it is that they need. We work with our consultants also to do marketing plans, strategic planning, financial planning. We have businesses who sit down with our CPAs and say, hey, I'm just trying to figure out how to increase revenue, and they give them a strategy and a plan to assist them with growing their revenue. So whatever it is a business need, we have resources available to assist. The Minority Business Assistance Center is only for existing businesses, but we do have our Small Business Development Center, as Elisa mentioned earlier, up under the umbrella of Urban League of Greater Cleveland, that's there for those startup businesses or those businesses in the ideation phase as well. So I'm going to send around this QR code, and what it is to register and become a client with the Small Business Development Center. One of the greatest things about this Minority Business Assistance Center and all of our services at Urban League is they're about 99% free. Don't worry, we get paid. You take
I'm getting a
They're about 99% free. And that 1% is there if we may do something such as a QuickBooks workshop where we are paying for your QuickBooks membership for a year. We have an accountant come in and work with you one-on-one. That may cost us $1,500 a person. We may charge you $50 a person. So it may be some minimum costs associated. We haven't ran any programs that cost within the last few years, but we do, majority of our services are actually free. You get a personal certified business advisor at no cost to you. You can meet with them all the time. You can call them all the time. If you need anything, we have a team available to assist.
So at UBiz Venture Capital, our goal is to team with the city of Cleveland Heights to help in the distribution of these funds, but we also team with Cuyahoga County. And because of what Cuyahoga County has offered us, we too can provide technical assistance. We can make sure businesses in which we collaborate with our groups have their capability statements, have their business plans, have all of their financial statements from your cash flow to your profit and loss, your taxes done, et cetera. And then, of course, one of the biggest things for us is providing working capital through the aspect of loans. So speaking of applications due in 3 weeks, we also have our $10,000 grant program to all restaurants. Those applications are open right now, and we're closing them January 31st. You don't have to submit your taxes for that.
Did she hear that? Restaurant, $10,000 grant?
It's our last year for the PepsiCo National Urban League. We've awarded about $500,000 now since 2021 to local businesses.
Does it have to be a full restaurant?
No, so it does not have to be a brick and mortar. You can be a caterer.
So I'm passing around a flyer right here for that as well. There's a QR code for you to register for it.
Okay, so if you have like a deli or something.
We also, the biggest, I'm not gonna say the only, you'll see the requirements when you apply. The biggest requirement is you've been established for at least a year with revenue coming in.
Yeah.
Yep. And then we also have our Becoming Bankable with Huntington. Many know the plights that Huntington has experienced in the Buckeye and the residents in the Buckeye area. Our focus for that first primarily are the business residents in that area. But if for some reason we cannot get enough to apply, then it opens up to everyone. So I do encourage everyone to apply because we provide 6 months free QuickBooks subscription and also a free accountant and a bookkeeper and a QuickBooks expert comes with that program.
So I just filled out an application or something very, I know it
What's
was
your business
Huntington, Bankable, Mommy's Bakery.
Yeah, I saw your name.
Did you?
But you, yep, I saw your name. And then
Something I forgot to mention is that as we talk about capital through the state of Ohio, we do have 2 great programs that are kind of new initiatives. We have our micro loan program, so we can give small businesses who are certified MBEs up to $45,000, and your interest rate can be as low as 0% if you're certified. One of the other program that we have is our WBE loan program, which could go up to $500,000 with an interest rate as low as 1% if you're certified, but you do not have to be certified to take advantage of the WBE loan program. And you can use that program for real estate as long as it's owner occupied at least 51%. One of the great thing about these programs is that the state of Ohio understands that what happens with our small businesses when we go to try to grow a business or start a business is we're using our resources, right? We're maxing out our credit cards and we go to get a loan and we're not approved because, hey, you can't pay for it or your debt to income is not in line where it should be. There's no credit check. Okay, so the state of Ohio does not do credit checks for any of our loan programs. What we do is look at your debt service coverage ratio. We look for your debt service coverage ratio to be at least 1.2, meaning that you can at least cover that monthly payment at 100%, plus you have an extra 20% left over.
And we do a lot of gap funding with MBAC and their clients and even some of the SBDC clients that have been up and running for quite some time with the state of Ohio, Cuyahoga County, City of Cleveland. We do run credit checks, but one of the things that I love about UBiz Venture Capital is if you're familiar with prime rates are given obviously to businesses that are the top-notch, highest, healthiest cash flow, highest credit scores, great credit histories. Understanding who our demographics are and who we're working with in the community, we stay below prime. And that is extended to all of our clients that end up getting funded with us, and those rates are locked in.
And we do have a promotion running right now through UBS at 0%.
0%.
That
I have some
application
flyers
you're
for
speaking
that.
about, that's
You said that's you.
the application.
Our marketing coordinator was on point and made sure I had.
Shanita.
Okay, so we're gonna give Vaughn, our representative from the county, an opportunity to tell you what the county have to offer a small business.
Thank you. Again, it's a pleasure to be here, to see so many folks in this room. But I want to cover three things briefly that how the county supports business and small business in particular. Our entire focus in the Department of Development, Economic Development, is on business, retention, expansion, and attraction. That's what we do all day, every day, is help businesses grow, help businesses come to Cuyahoga County, and the ones that are here, help them to expand if that's what they want to do. The other thing that we do, you may not know this, but Cuyahoga County is actually a lender. We lend money to businesses in a couple of areas. One, for commercial real estate projects, if you're a developer. The other one is we do make loans to businesses for things like equipment, stuff like that, for acquisition. We do make those types of loans, but we are a gap financer. So we typically want to see that there is a senior lender, usually a bank in that first position. The county will come in either second or third, depending on what other funding is in that particular capital stack. We do that all the time. We've done projects in Cleveland Heights. We're working on one right now in Cleveland Heights and maybe another one shortly after that. But what I really wanted to talk to you about, our sweet spot, which we just started, that focuses solely on small businesses, is in April of 2023, new County Executive Chris Ronayne announced the formation of the Office of Small Business. And I said, Chris, I call him Chris, but Mr. Executive, I said, this is a great idea. This is what I've always wanted to do. There's a niche in the market that we can fill with this. Who are you gonna get to pull this off? And he looked at me and said, you are. So since April of 23 to May of 24, we were working behind the scenes diligently to build the infrastructure for the Office of Small Business. We launched the office on May the 8th, 2024. And within 11 minutes, we had our first inquiry for services to the Office of Small Business. Since then, we've had over 750 businesses reach out to the Office of Small Business for support. So what does the Office of Small Business actually do? We essentially are a concierge service. If you've been to a fine hotel, you go down to the lobby, they have a concierge area that if you're not familiar with what's going on in that area where the hotel is, and you're looking for a fine restaurant, you're looking to go to the theater, you want to do a sporting event or whatever it is, that official at the concierge station will assist you in identifying those opportunities for you. So what the Office of Small Business does is we don't make working capital loans for small businesses. We don't provide technical assistance to small businesses. We don't do, we don't have business advisors working with small businesses, and we don't want to. We know that there is an ecosystem that's already there, like the Urban League of Greater Cleveland, UBiz Venture Capital, that's already there, that we do what we call, we make warm introductions. So here's how it works. A small business reaches out to us. We schedule a 30-minute listening session with that business. We try to go into what they need, what their pain points are. After that, the team huddles with all the listening sessions we've had that week to come up with the most applicable next step for that business in terms of making a warm introduction to one of the 60 or more resource partners that we work with, which the Urban League and UBiz are two of those partners that we work with. And we found that business owners are great at baking goods or fixing cars or their restaurants. They're excellent at that. What they are not so great at is remembering all of the ecosystem partners and all of the programs that they offer. Guess what? We know. We know the procurement officers at all the major corporations. We know all the programs that our partners offer. We know who the bankers are. We know who the secondary lenders are, the crowdfunders, the venture capitalists. We know all of that. We make it our business to know that. So a small business doesn't have to remember everything that these two ladies just talked about. All they have to do, if you have the brochure and the card that I passed around, one number, one QR code, one email address, if you remember that, we can get you pointed in the right direction. You don't have to know what all these organizations do. My team and I, we do that every single day, and that list continues to expand. So if you're ever, and the Office of Small Business too is for all small businesses, whether you are in ideation phase, or whether you are mature, whether you're minority owned, whether you're woman owned, or whether you're just a business owner, you're any small business. It is for any and every small business that is in Cuyahoga County. I do this all the time. We do this every day. My team and I do this every day. We stand ready to assist. I'm happy to say I was able to hire some more people to bring them on board because we had a queue of literally hundreds of businesses that were ready to engage us and talk to us about their business and what type of help that they need. So we stand ready. We're ready to assist you. You have a question?
Can I get one of your cards?
Oh, sure. There's a QR code on the card and on the brochure that will take you directly to the Office of Small Business landing page. Right on the landing page, there is an inquiry form if you want to schedule a listing session with us, or you can just email or call. But we are here, we're ready. Our business is your business. And as I said at the top of the conversation, no one loves small businesses more than I do. I've owned 5 different small businesses throughout my career. I started off, a partner of mine and myself, we started one of Ohio's first mobile power wash company that was owned by an African-American individuals that we had our own truck with our own water tank that used hot water. That is an amazing thing to do. So listen, here's an inside secret. My buddy and I, this was years ago, we actually went to go work for another power wash company to really learn about the best practices and how they actually do that. And then we use that as a foundation to start our own business. And again, this was many, many, many moons ago. But since then, so I said all that to say, I'm very passionate about small businesses. I love small businesses, and no one loves small businesses more than I do. I'll do everything in my power to see each and every one of you succeed.
Thank you so much. Wow, that's wonderful. Okay, I know. I'll be in touch.
Thank you.
Okay.
Have a nice day, guys.
Let me ask you a question before you go. When is a good day and a good time of day to have a meeting like this, and another meeting? Is it 10:30 in the morning is good for you all?
Yes.
Or is that's good, or an evening meeting?
Even now or evening? Yeah, around now or evening?
Now it's
Mornings?
Yeah, mornings.
Mornings are better?
Mornings. Yes.
Okay, so I'll set up a second meeting and I'll give you notice.
Yeah, we're all in with Noble.
Okay. Thank you.
Happy you guys.
Thank you.
Can I just say one thing about businesses being organized? I have the privilege of working with all 59 municipalities within Cuyahoga County. I'm in meetings like this all the time when business groups come together trying to decide on what direction they should go. One thing I will tell you for sure is you need to be organized. You need to be organized. I was in a meeting like this in a municipality not too far from here, and one of the officials stood up and said, the reason they don't pay attention to you is because there's nothing to pay attention to that they respect. If you want that is a hardcore truth. If you want your voice to be heard, it's easier to be heard when you're together and when you're organized. So whatever direction you decide to go, I strongly suggest that you organize so you can be heard.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So I'm gonna let our county council member say a couple words if you want, and then we're gonna end it up with our congresswoman's representative. But I didn't want you to be here. I've asked to partner with him to help with bringing some things from the county since he's a new county council and Vaughn, and so we're gonna be doing everything we can to help you all. So I'm gonna give you a few minutes.
Sure, I will be brief since I'm going after Director Johnson. Just very quickly,
Again, happy to be here. As the director said, we have a lot of resources. I'm actually the chair of community development and housing for the county. And so we have grants, we have loans. Myself, Cynthia, Director Johnson looks forward to working with you all. We look forward whatever we can do to help the Noble neighborhood as well as District 10 move forward. More than happy to do it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And we're gonna have our final speaker and our guest, Mr. Pittman. He is from Congresswoman Shontel Brown's office. He has been assigned to me by her office to help me with planning and development as the chair of the planning and development here in Cleveland Heights. He has been remarkable, amazing, and he checks in with her and gives her updates and information on what we need or what I need or what the community need. So he's here because she also have, and her, as the federal government has things that small businesses can also take advantage of.
Absolutely, thank you for that. Here, small business coordinator for office, if you will. Not no official title there. So I've seen many of you before. I've seen you before, and I've seen Director Johnson before. I've seen you before as well. The Congresswoman has a small business advisory council that she's kicking off this year. We are going through applications. We had about 60 small businesses apply, as well as the Small Business Expo, which the resources at this table were a part of last year, where we had a little over 600 small business owners attend, with a myriad of resources. Amazon was there, our small business administration was there, Urban League, county, local city government was there. We had a myriad of resources there for Tri-C was there, their instructors were there. I mean, you couldn't leave there without walking away with what you needed. It's essentially what the Congresswoman wants to ensure that every small business is successful, no matter what stage, whether you're a small venture capital or mid-market level. She wants all those resources there for you so that you can walk away with something tangible, something you're able to accomplish. Instead of just getting a whole bunch of handouts and going home and having to study, we always like to implement an aspect of an actual item there. So we had the Secretary of State, Frank LaRoe's office there. So it's kind of like a bipartisan collaborative effort. He was there helping people sign up for LLCs, sole proprietorships, as well as if they want to dissolution of their business, things of that nature. So it was overwhelming, but we did it. And we're here to help in any way we can. Obviously, there's a small opportunity for federal loans. Obviously, the federal government has loans as far as like small business disaster assistance program, what happened during COVID. They were reaching out to SB to get those loans. And then there's government contracting opportunities through Apex Accelerator. So there are resources, there are organizations at the federal level that can help small businesses. We've advocated, communicated concerns with local companies to ODOT, as far as their, minority disadvantaged. I can never get the acronym right. Disadvantaged business.
Certification.
Yeah, I believe that's what it's called. I don't have that much experience, but we've communicated with them regarding small business owners and their inability to get a response from ODOT. We had to go up to the Department of Transportation above them to get the issue resolved. We have also worked with small businesses. They come to our office for help as it relates to Department of Homeland Security. Some business owners get shipments from China, Japan, those places, and their parcels held up with the Department of Homeland Security and Customs Border Protections. We'll reach out to them on their behalf to see what's the hold up, and if there's any paperwork that needs to be supportive documentation, we'll submit that for them with the agency if they provide it to us. So we do a myriad of things, but small businesses is I think the number one priority for the Congresswoman, just based off of the amount of effort and work she's put in with the Inflation Reduction Act and all the legislation that she's done and advocating she's done and events we've pulled off successfully. So
Okay.
glad to be here.
Well, thank you, and I lied. We have one more person, because I would be remiss not to let Director Vance and his team give you some information regarding what the city is doing to help small businesses and what direction and what they vision for Noble Road, and you're gonna be our final speaker for the
I won't take up too much time and I can really throw it over to the team, but we've been doing a lot and want to do more on Noble and on Taylor. We'll talk later in the month. Last year, there was a whole Noble Road corridor study effort that Fallon and Brian were leading. We're still working on that, coming up with recommendations, and we want to bring that back. And of course, the business community is a part of that. But also, and I think somewhat more importantly for this conversation, is this real focus, this hyper-local, hyper-business focus that we're trying to have in economic development now, and particularly with Julie Kaufman, really getting around to every business. And we want to take that a step further to not just to get to know you, but to do a little bit of, I'll call it counseling, like from a planning and city point of view, like, hey, maybe your curtains should be open during the daytime because people think you're closed 24/7. Things like that, things that we can observe and things that we're hearing from the community at large. So Julie, I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about what you've been doing, Brian.
I guess just to kind of dovetail off of what Vaughn said, I think at the city level, we can kind of be that liaison, specifically at the Cleveland Heights level. Whether it's things like Eric said, or this more applies sometimes to businesses that are getting started, kind of walking you through the process in terms of licensing and permitting and approvals that you need, as well as connecting you to all the resources, that we talked about, here today. And I guess my takeaway is, there's clearly a lot of people that, potentially can be allies and supporters of you, and we want to make it easier for you to do that and, to be able to, support your business. And that can be, things big and small. We have, some of our funds, like we mentioned, we are partnering with UBiz to deploy some ARPA funds. Now, I will say this initial round of ARPA funds going towards small businesses has some more strings and rules attached to it, because there's certain rules, like you have to have been open during the pandemic, be able to document your loss. But there's going to be a second pool of ARPA money that is going to be a little bit less, that comes with less strings to it to be able to deploy to potentially all, businesses in some form. We also have some additional funds that right now we're using ECDI for microloans and other loans and other funds that the city has as well. So there's opportunities, across the board as well, whether it's kind of understanding city processes, finding technical assistance, finding financing. So between Julie and myself, certainly feel free to reach out to either of us with any types of questions.
Brian, before we close, is there anything that you can actually tell the business merchants that they may need to start collecting if they want to apply for any of the ARPA money or grants or whatever the city may have?
I think this was a point you made earlier too, like for when you're applying for these types of grants, or even, always for loans, but even for the grants, like make sure your previous year's financials and current financials are in order, And whether it's ARPA related, you have to be able to document your losses to get money out of that. Or even moving forward from more proactive types of things, having, your business plan and your financials, and be able to tell your story as well as document it with data, kind of where you're at, so that it makes those approval processes easier.
All right, yes.
I just want to give a quick resource. I know we're wrapping things up, but for the Heights Chamber, we just recently had a presentation by SCORE. So if people aren't familiar, it's part of the Small Business Administration programs. There is a Cleveland chapter, and they give free mentors. So if you go onto SCORE Cleveland, so it's score.org, and just select the Cleveland chapter, you can apply for a mentor. Again, totally free. They'll assign you someone that helps you with whatever, again, your needs are every step of the way. Majority of them are probably people that are retired at this point and they wanna give back, but there are some non-retirees. And I just found the presentation incredibly impactful. And I think, again, just another hand-holding with no cost. So to me, find a mentor. And then when you fill out their application, they'll help find you somebody that's already in their mentorship program, which they have, I think she said over like 60 or so Cleveland mentors, that makes sense to your industry. They have people just across the board. So I think that, again, a free mentor couldn't hurt any of us, right?
Do the merchants here know what the business chambers is about?
Yeah, so I'll just tell you quickly
Just give
too
a
that,
quick-
yeah, the Heights Chamber of Commerce, so it is an annual membership for a sole entrepreneur or individual business owner. It's as low as $150. It goes up a little bit by business size, but it's still a very affordable membership that we have not only ways to build community and networking, so networking is a lot of it. So, our focus is business referrals, so bringing businesses together, so how we can all help each other out and grow our businesses and be part of our community. But there's also some resources that by being a chamber member, you get discounts on health insurance. There's a program through Anthem. There's a program on energy assistance, a chamber energy program, both for residential and commercial. Payroll, credit card processing too. So by the collectiveness of the chamber, you're getting better rates often, not always, but on some of those kind of things because, again, of the pooling power of all the businesses together. There's a partnership program that has to do with savings with FedEx and international and local shipping. So things like that. So we have monthly after hours. It's HRCC is, again, yet another acronym, the Heights Hillcrest Regional Chamber of Commerce. So hrcc.org, we have a calendar listing there. So you can see our upcoming February events. So we have a women's speaker series the second Thursday of every month, which is where I heard the SCORE speaker. And after hours, it's gonna be here at Honda Cleveland Heights on the 12th of February from 5 to 7 will be our next after hours. So you can
Give the acronym one more time.
Yeah, sorry, hrcc.org.
HRCC.
If you wanna reach me, I'm Julie at HRCC. Thank you.
Brian?
I just want to mention three things. One thing that Brendan mentioned is we also have the storefront renovation program. So there's a grant and a loan component of that, and so whether you're a property owner or you're a merchant, we can engage with you and the landlord, or just you look at renovating the exterior of your space. And then, like the councilwoman said and Director Zamp said, we are in the middle of the Noble Corridor comprehensive plan study. It's a very community development oriented approach, but a big part of that also is economic development. And we have similar goals from this conversation because we're in envisioning mode, and we're probably gonna be in envisioning mode until that plan is even implemented. On a daily basis, we have ideas for Noble Road. So we'd love to hear your ideas, and I have a complicated last name. So I'll just give you Fallon's email. If you have ideas for Noble Road, we'd love to hear them. It's frobinson@hayes.gov. I don't want to try to spell that last name. And then, the visioning is important.
You have one more.
That's what we're selling. That's what we're
You
selling.
did two, but you had one more, you said.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I don't know.
You got it.
Other than saying that the visioning is probably the most important part of this decision process. Because you all are the ones that are gonna pay it whether you own the property or not. They're not gonna absorb that payment, the landlord. So we'd like to see you maybe even own your building.
Yeah.
So, and all of us can help you accomplish that.
Absolutely.
We'd love to see the vision presented to all the people that are gonna vote on this. We'd love to be a part of that vision because we have lots of ideas for the neighborhood. And then don't discount the apartment buildings. They're gonna benefit from this as well. And it becomes, and not if, when it becomes a thriving corridor, those apartments are gonna be very attractive to people that wanna live there. And we also wanna help them. That's a big part of the reason. It's not just the commercial areas, that's a big part of the reason. Somebody said, it doesn't look that nice. So as a part of the streetscaping efforts, we're not just looking at the commercial areas, we're also looking at the residential areas to assist that, because you know, it doesn't just stop because the city stops right there. And maybe they should be part of it. And Myra's doing it in Cedar Fairmount. They've been
Julie's doing it now.
They've maybe in a way you could say those apartment buildings are benefiting and not paying right now, so I think there's, and the cities also, and the county also have a lot to offer the apartment buildings, so we can all be part of this conversation and help each other. What you do on Noble Road.
I'll put in a residential plug and just say, I really look forward to when Cleveland Heights locks it in to where you have to live in Ohio to own an apartment building.
That'd be
That's on
Well, first of all, I wanna thank you all so very much for coming. You know, with the weather, I didn't know that you all were really, you showed up. And you showed out. And I am so proud of you. And you keep showing up and showing out, and I'm gonna show up and show out with you along with my other council members. So, before I close, we're gonna do this very same meeting for the Taylor area because they're in desperate need as well. And that meeting is February 4th, 10:30 a.m. So I need you all to put that on your calendars. If you all wanna listen in, cause it's on YouTube, if you all wanna listen in to hear what they're saying, you know, about the Taylor area, feel free to do so. And it's open to the public, if you just wanna come in and sit, you're more than welcome to do that as well. But I wanna give you an opportunity to be able to really think about how important it is for you all to collaborate as a merchant and to have your voices heard as one. And I'm very big on that, just through my background as an union organizer and a union leader. We believe in collaboration, bringing people together, using your voice as one so that you can get things done. And, you know, we always have that little squeaky wheel, but a lot of squeaky wheels be one. So I live in that Noble area. And I've been living there since I was a kid. And just almost 50-something years with my parents, my sister, my whole almost immediate family lives in Cleveland Heights. And we came from Cleveland Heights. We came to Cleveland Heights as running from racism in the Collinwood area. So it has been a safe haven for us. It was a safe haven for us to come to. So I really pride myself in loving Cleveland Heights and trying to make it a better place. I remember riding my bike up and down Noble Road. I don't know if you all remember, there was a real fancy furniture store right where your building is.
Wow.
Yes, yes. It was a upscale furniture store right there. I bought my first painting out of that building that's still in my house today. Back then, it cost a lot of money, so I didn't get rid of it, right? But I wanted you to know that's the type of businesses we had on Noble Road, where you had some really, really nice spaces to go into. So I'm looking forward to that to come back again. And I'm guilty. I'm one of the ones who voted no for that apartment building. But I didn't vote no because it's not gonna be a beautiful building. It's because I was afraid, and I'm still afraid, that because of no amenities there and things are not moving in the Noble area, that it may not be what we want. But I am hoping and I'm praying and I'm saying it on the air that the city and everybody proves me wrong, because in 15 years or 30 years, I want Noble Road to be as beautiful as we all think it to be and to continue to be, so that generations can say this is an area of pride. So I thank you all for working with me to make sure that we can build an association for you all. We're gonna have another meeting in March. So this is not over, this is just the beginning. We're gonna have another meeting in March, but prior to that meeting, please contact me. I want your homework, remember action? Your homework is to talk to all of the merchants on Noble Road that you know and set up a meeting with you all in maybe your salon where you all can come together and talk about your aspirations far as what you've heard today and about forming a association so that when we come back in March, the city will be able to hear some of the things that you talked about and worked out. And if you want, we can invite Myra in to help with some of that conversation so that you'll know where you wanna go and where you wanna start. But it's time to start, it's time to build, and it's time to not sit back anymore. So I am hoping and praying that we move forward on this third try. So thank you all very much for coming. Thank my council members for hanging in with me this long, but it's something that we've been working on for a while. We went a little bit over. But we had a lot to say and a lot information to give. I did not want this meeting just to be an informational meeting about a business association. I wanted to be able to, you all to be able to take away information that's gonna help your business for the long run. So, saying that, this meeting is now adjourned. Thank you so very much.